Now, in this video, we're going to be discussing how to insert a Fibonacci tool on a data feed in panel 2 of a NinjaTrader workspace. What I would recommend that you start with is a 1-minute chart. Now, you can use a 5-minute or even greater than that, but you don't want to use a second chart. It'll just be way too busy. So the first thing that we want to do is add an indicator into panel 2. And the indicator that I want you to insert is the cumulative delta. So we right-click on the screen, we go to indicators. Then we go down here to order flow, cumulative delta, add, hit OK. So now that data will show up in panel 2. Because I personally don't need to have the ES data showing up, I'm going to eliminate it from the screen by moving the border of panel 2 by putting my cursor on the line, okay? Cursor's on the line and just sliding it up until it's far enough off the screen to suit my needs. Now you can move it completely off the screen. And it's in fact still there, and you can always pull it back if you want. Now, for my purposes, I'm eliminating it from the screen. So now you have your cumulative delta on here. What we're going to want to do is draw Fibonacci retracements or extension from this data. But getting the exact value can be a bit of a challenge unless you use a data box. Okay? You want to use a data box. Now, how do you get the data box to show up? Okay? Again, right-click on the screen, go down here to show data box or hit Control-D. When you do, the data box may show up on a different monitor. So you'll have to go back and get it. The data box will show you all of the data for the ES as well as for the volume. So when I put my cursor on the bar, I can read exactly what the high and the low is. In this case, on this bar, the low is at 287. The high is at 319. Okay? 371, I moved it, pardon me. Low is at 139, high is at 371. So any bar that you do this on, you can get the exact value for. So when you're drawing your retracements and or extensions, I would recommend that the first thing you do, you find the bar and write down on a notepad what the values are. Okay? Because you're going to want to come back to them when you draw your tool. So this is how you get the data. Now, how do you add the tool itself? You right-click on the screen, go to Drawing Tools, and here's where your Fibonacci's show up, the retracements, the extensions, and so on. Let's work with a retracement to begin with. When I click on the retracement tool, that's where my pencil comes in. So this is where you're going to line it up with the high and the low. Now, you don't have to line it up exactly because you can't get it exact in the first place. So just put it approximately where you want it to be. So let's say if I wanted to start from this high, okay? Just use this as an example. And I want to draw it down to this low over here, okay? So the value of that bar, the high, was, as you can see, 270. Look at the data box. Or, pardon me, 370. And the low over here is at negative 967. 967. So now I'm going to go back into the Fibonacci tool and adjust these numbers. How do you do that? Again, right-click on the screen, go to Drawing Tools, and now go down to Drawing Objects. Click on that, and your Fibonacci tools will show up here. Here's where you make your adjustments. So here is where I can change the numbers, all right? I don't need to change the time on a retracement, that's not necessary. And as long as you're putting the tool approximately where you want it to be, you don't need to even worry about this. But here's where you're going to change the numbers. There's your high, here's your low. And you just change them to whatever the number is, the exact number, according to the data box. Now, one more thing you may want to do. Scroll down here, and here's where you extend the line to the right. There's very little reason to extend it to the left. If you don't want it extended, don't check that. If you want to expand the number of price levels, you edit this, and here's where you can add or adjust. Now, I've added some in here, so yours may not look like mine. So you may have to start over, all right? But this is where you add it. And then you click OK when you're done. Now, once you're done, if you've made a modification to that, go in here to template and save it. Give it a new name, all right? Save it in such a way that you can find it again and add it. If you save it as default, then it'll always add accordingly, right? So that's how you do that. Okay. So when you're using the data box, you may want to put that on a different monitor so that you can write down the levels on a, say on a notepad. And that's what I do. I just move it off screen because once I start manipulating this, the data box will disappear. Okay. Now let's continue now and put up a Fibonacci extension. So we go back here, we go to Drawing Tools, and this is where you're going to add the Fibonacci extensions, or just use the hotkey. But first, I want to get rid of the existing drawing object, which is the retracement. So I'm just going to go in here and remove it. Now I'm going to hit F9. And before I do that, let me shrink. Let me move this over to a example of how we would do this. Okay, so when you're doing a Fibonacci extension, just like you do it on the ES, for an upward extension, I need a low, a high, and a higher low. So in this case, I could choose this or this, either this or this low, and this high here and this low here. I don't want this low. I could draw it that way. But as soon as that low is broken, that drawing is inaccurate. So I'd have to pick up this low. So again, we're going to hit F9. There's the tool. Approximately here and here. And if I use this low here, I would have to change it once that low got exceeded. And I'll move it over here. Okay. Then to get it accurate, I'm going to go back to the bar here and look at my data box. My low is negative 29.45. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Negative 29.45. Then I'm going to choose this high. That high is at 25.50. I'll write that down. And then this low over here, get it right on the bar, is at negative 18.26. So now that I have that written down, I'm going to go back into the tool, right-click on the screen, Drawing Tools, Drawing Objects. Okay, here's my numbers. Negative 29.45. And my keyboard sometimes doesn't put the negative in there when I ask it to. 25.50. And negative 18.26. And okay. Now, do you see the value of this tool? Look at the retracement or the extension here. What does she do? She runs all the way up to the 161.8 turns. How about that? That's pretty powerful. In fact, that's really, really powerful. Frankly, it's amazing. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what we're seeing. Now, when you get this retracement, you want to draw this again. And I'm going to draw it from this low to this high and back down to this low. I'm not going to leave this. And watch what happens when I do. Now, I've already done this on a different chart. So the first time I drew this, and let me just kind of go back through the day. Let's get this out of the way. First time I drew it was before the open. From this low to this high to this higher low. And as you can see, the first target was exceeded by a little. This next target didn't quite make it up to the 361.8. And you can see how much I've added into the Fibonacci tool. All these Fibonacci retracements I've added into this tool. But I happened to take it up all the way to the 661.8. And look where this market went to. Here's the 661. I'm just going to use a drawing tool. right up there. Wow. From this low to this high to this low, it wasn't as precise. Here's another tool. Okay. This low to this high to this low. And look at where it took us. Exactly up to the 300%. Wow. This is amazing. So yeah, do I want to use this? Oh, I certainly do. So now when you start to play with this, here's the interesting thing. You can look at where the retracement is likely to go and then use it in conjunction with your other tools. So for example, all right, since I know where these levels are, now, of course, I don't have the tool drawn on this particular chart, but I can easily do that. I can easily put the Fibonacci tools on the chart. Now, what I can't tell is where the ES is going to be when that happens. But if you've got the volume here, and it's telling you, yeah, you can expect this thing to go up here, and you look over on your charts, and you find out where your heat zones are. There's the top of the heat zone, okay? And it goes up to that level, and you're at the top of the heat zone. What do you think is going to happen? Get the picture? We've got a great way to really start targeting how the market is going to move and where it's going to move to, so that we can either hold the trade or enter the trade at these particular pivots. It is amazing. Okay. Wow. I love it. Okay. Now you know how to manipulate the Fibonacci tools as well as draw them on panel 2. And if you put the cumulative delta on there, I got a feeling your trading is going to get real accurate. And that's what we want. It's the end of this video.